I was recently at an event and I met a nice woman, probably around my age, who told me she was just in the middle of or finishing up a divorce and that she had started dating again and that she was sort of feeling a little insecure, a little worried about it. Totally understandable. But one of the things that she mentioned to me, and this is a woman I had just met. I mean, we really were in the middle of an event. It wasn't like we had a lot of time to get real intimate about this discussion. But she shared with me that she was a little bit concerned about how and when to become sort of sexually active with a new person and if it was okay or cool. She was very focused on disease, which should be because this is a whole new world to her. She was with one partner for a long time. And she said, well, is it okay to ask someone to get tested or da-da? And I want to just give my take on this. Yes, of course, you should absolutely ask. I always ask. I haven't asked for signed paperwork to peruse in advance of a date, no. But I usually talk to someone to get a sense of, do you get a sense of how often do they get tested? How important do they think of it as? How safe have they been? Now, you could say, well, they could be lying. It's like, yeah, anyone could be lying about anything. Some people are married to someone for 20 years, don't know that guy has a whole other family down the street. I mean, yes, you should take measures, but you kind of can get a sense of how serious someone is, especially if they're nervous about you, which I take as a good sign. But my advice to her was, yes, you can and should talk about getting tested, but know that even if you both decided to go get tested together in order to become or to feel safer having intercourse, when you get tested, that test reflects what you did 6 months ago. It doesn't reflect what happened last night or last week or last month or the weeks before that. So there is a 6-month buffer in between when that test is checking for, or when it is whatever had gotten into your system, and when it will happen. So in an ideal world, if you really wanted to be safe, you'd have to get a partner who will get tested, but you'd have to wait 6 months from when you met, and that person could not sleep with anyone else in those 6 months. And you'd have to sort of, I don't know how you enforce something like that. And then they would get tested. So then you'd basically be having sex almost a year after you'd met. Now, as a single person in the dating world right now, I can tell you that that's not going to fly. You are not going to be able to make someone just not date anyone else for 6 months. What you can do is talk about how safe they are, what kind of partners they've had, what they know about their partner's history. All that stuff is very important. I think the discussion is just as important. And I think you want someone who makes a habit of getting tested regularly because it's important to them. But if you really wanted to be that safe, I would say, to be that safe, you have to not be with anyone because you will always have some kind of risk involved. Even if that person was married the past 6 months, you don't know exactly what someone's done. You only will know what someone tells you. And I think you can tell from someone's sort of perspective on it and how curious they are about your health too. Of course, I do think using protection, while we know it's not 100%, chances are the people who are carrying things that you don't want probably weren't using protection consistently. So, while I know that doesn't sound like great news because you say, well, anything I do, there's a risk involved. Well, welcome to the world of love and sex. Always a risk.